Everybody, I'm going through a detox. Don't hate. Okay. I did part 2 of like, if you have a SCOBY, what do you do with it? How do you brew it? How do you make kombucha? This is what a SCOBY is. Looks crazy, doesn't it? It's scary. I'm so used to looking at them that it's not crazy to me. I have different varieties over there because a SCOBY, okay, the miracle elixir is kombucha. That is the tea that's made by the SCOBY. Well, a lot of people are like, where do you get the SCOBY? You can order them online or you can make one yourself. Now, I liked making it myself because it helped me understand it. Sometimes actually a lot of times we give SCOBYs away. And the reason why we give SCOBYs away is because they're a gift. Once you give somebody a SCOBY, like this one makes, this is a mother culture, well, let's just call it a SCOBY. SCOBY is a short word for symbiotic culture or bacterial yeast. Okay, you don't need that big word. A SCOBY is the thing that you're seeing. This is formed by having a pre-existing, I tried it, just full on basic straight, or you can make a SCOBY. Okay, herein lies the thing about making a SCOBY. If nobody gave you one, a lot of people will give them away, so that way you don't have to go through the hassle of making one. But when you make one, you kind of understand it. So to make a SCOBY, you have to go down to the local organic store, and there's already made kombuchas, the beverage, a raw one, not one with blueberry or spirulina or any, raw kombucha. And you'll see them, you go in the organic store, they're in the beverage section, you buy 2. I buy 5. And you get those 2 beverages, and basically they're gonna jumpstart your tea to make a SCOBY. When you get those 2 bottles, I've heard people say use this brand, that brand, this brand. No, just get 2 raw kombucha bottles of kombucha. They're in the refrigerated section, and get 5. So you can start drinking it to understand it, and save 2. Then you boil some water. Boil it. Now, if you want your SCOBY to be this size, then you fill up this bottle of water and then make your tea. It's green tea. It's water, sugar, and tea to form a SCOBY with the raw kombuchas that you have. So don't get it twisted. This is the SCOBY. That's the tea. This is a SCOBY that's been hibernating. It's in my fridge. I'm putting her to sleep right now. We'll just call it a her. Now, what you're going to do is, if you want to make your SCOBY, you're going to get 2 bottles of raw kombucha. And with those 2 raw kombuchas, you're going to boil the water of the container that you will be using. Oh, it's starting to burp. It burps. It's like a human being. So what you're going to do is you're going to boil some water on the stove that is equivalent to the jar that you're using with some space. So you maybe want to use that much water. Make your first SCOBY. And you're going to get 7, 8, I've used 12 bags of green tea. And you're going to dip them in the water, and you're going to let it steep. If you know anything about tea, you want to bring it to a boil. Put your tea bags in there, or you can get the sugar. Now, when you combine green tea and sugar and water and let it get down to room temperature, you have your 2 raw bottles of kombucha tea. We're going to combine all that, and we're going to put it in a jar, and we're going to ferment it. People don't know what fermenting is. I could do a whole video on that. Fermenting is like making beer. Fermenting is like kimchi. I don't know if you know what kimchi is. Fermenting is kefir water. I have some now. So what you're going to do is you're going to make a SCOBY. Now, I've heard of people making SCOBYs in a bathtub. That's how intense it gets. Whatever container you put it on is the shape it's going to be. So if you use that big of a glass container, that's how big your SCOBY is going to be. That's okay. You can own a big SCOBY. No big deal. I've cut them in fours. I've done all kinds of crazy things with SCOBYs. They're more resilient than you think. So you're going to boil some water. You're going to put some bags of green tea in there. You're going to throw some sugar in there. And I would suggest for your first SCOBY putting 2 cups of sugar. Nobody will agree with me. That's okay. Because I have amazing SCOBYs. I use organic sugar. You can't use brown sugar. You can't use turbinado sugar. You can't use that sugar, this sugar. It has to either be granulated white sugar or it has to be organic raw sugar. Like sugar. Okay. Then people say, isn't it alcohol? Well, kind of. Just in a different form. This is for a basic person to understand. If we're going to make one of these organisms, and they are organisms, they're alive. They put off probiotic. It's called the miracle elixir. SCOBYs are not rocket science, but they sure feel like it when you're making one. So you're going to get a glass container. You're going to put a bottle of that raw, the one you got to room temperature. You're going to have your room temperature tea with your sugar that's melted. You're going to take the tea bags out after it sits overnight because you want everything at room temperature. You're going to dump your raw kombucha bottle of liquid that you bought at the organic store in there. You're going to fill the rest with green tea, and it better be the same temperature because if one of them's hot, you're going to kill it. It's alive. Then you're going to get a cheesecloth or a handkerchief. I've used both. And you're going to pop it over this lid with your tea in there. You're going to get a rubber band. You're going to cover it, and it doesn't like the light. Now, you notice she's in the light right now? She's hibernating. She doesn't care. She's just a SCOBY. See how she has all those little floaty weird things? She looks like a membrane, right? I have some in there that are perfectly round and immaculate. Doesn't matter. Sometimes you'll see cyclones when it's making. It'll freak you out. Sometimes you'll think you have mold. You're like, oh my God, this SCOBY's not growing. Yes, it is. So what did I do? I'll show you another SCOBY. There's another baby. That's the little guy. Now, they multiply. Yep, they multiply. A baby makes a mama makes another baby. Next thing you know, you got about 40 SCOBYs. Okay. What it produces is a tea. When you place a SCOBY, you have your SCOBY, it's formed. You remove the SCOBY from the tea, you drink the tea. Now, you can take it through another fermentation. It's called number 2. Set out on the counter, add some fruit juice to it like I did, put a lid on it. Now you can put it in the light because the SCOBY's not there. When it's ready to go, 7 days later, it's going to be fizzy. What do you like? Cherry juice? Grape juice? Ginger juice? What do you like? Throw it in there. Drink it. I've seen little children drink that much a day. See the yeast on the bottom? That's what we want. That's why it's called a SCOBY. The last initial being Y. A SCOBY is that entity, that thing. It puts off a probiotic drink. Probiotics are not antibiotics. They're probiotic, which means they're building good cells in your body. They're building a system of defense. Now the green tea's in there, right? So you get caffeine. You have energy. Little children can drink it, so it's safe, right? So then you have a SCOBY, and you made your tea. It smells like vinegar. You're kind of scared. You're like, what's that? I don't want to drink vinegar. Doesn't taste like vinegar though. Don't forget the sugar. So as it's been sitting there in the dark, in a kind of a warm spot in your kitchen, like I put it in a brown paper bag, it starts doing stuff. Things start floating, things start swirling. Next thing you know, on top, you got your little SCOBY. Sometimes that SCOBY has another SCOBY on it. Sometimes it's just a SCOBY. So, we're going to clean our hands really good, get all the bacteria off of you. Don't put soap. Don't put soap. And you clean that glass jar, make sure it's clean. SCOBYs don't like dirty spaces. Wipe your hands. Grab that SCOBY. Pour some of the tea out with the SCOBY because maybe you want a hibernator. Or you're going to make some more. Got some green tea ready. You're going to make another batch. You're going to get that tea separated from the SCOBY. See how I have it floating in tea? And you're going to get the tea and you're going to put it on the counter and you're going to put something in it and then you're going to make it taste really good. Or you're just going to drink it raw. I like it raw. I drink it raw. I put grape juice, I put all kinds of stuff. Things are good for you. Your SCOBY's sitting over here. But it's been out. So it's at room temperature. You better get some more green tea going. You got to get another batch going. Next thing you know, you got a gallon going. Next thing you know, you got 14 SCOBYs. What are you going to do? The SCOBY is that long word I told you. It's a fermented yeast. It's a probiotic drink. It's never been studied because it's too complex. We all drink it. We all love it. And we're hooked. Those that don't drink it think it's freaky and they don't know. The minute you drink kombucha, you start to burp. Because things in your stomach are going, what's that? What you're doing is not creating a beer. You're creating something that's alive. It's a culture. It's good for you. And it gives you benefits that I can't even name. Even my eyes got wetter. I mean, there were so many benefits. Now I'm doing kefir water. Let's talk about that for a minute. Do you notice the kefir's in a dark bag? Because kefir water doesn't like that either. This has been studied. Kefir water grains. I know, here we go again with the names. Kefir water grains, crystals. I've heard it said a lot of ways. Its official name is kefir water grains. And I'll show you why they're called kefir water grains. They look like crystals. They don't look like a grain. They look like little tiny, little formulated crystals. Smells like yeast to me. Like a real sweet dough. It likes to be in the dark. You only have to make sugar water. Isn't that great? It's got 12, I believe 12 benefits for bad gut. What we call in the organic world, bad gut. Say you're overweight, your stomach hurts. You don't know why. Irritable bowel syndrome, not having enough stools. All kinds of problems with your stomach. Drink kefir water. Guess what? It's not like kombucha. It doesn't have to sit there for 7 days. It only has to sit there for 1. And they multiply and you can share the crystals. Isn't that cute? So not only are you making kombucha, you're now making kefir. Crystals are, I don't know, a couple bucks on organic life kefir water, not milk. I'm vegan. Kefir water, big difference. There's kefir milk and kefir water. I like kefir water, not kefir milk, because I'm vegan. There's kefir water and kombucha. I drink them both daily. I'll show you how much I drink. I drink a quart a day of kefir water with kombucha mixed every day. I have the energy of a 20-year-old. Kefir's a little bit different. You can add dried fruits in there when you're making it. You know you can't add nothing with the SCOBY, just the green tea and the sugar and the black tea and raspberry leaves, and I don't do all that. I just do green tea. Kefir grains you can throw dried fruit in there, but they can't have sulfur. You can put molasses, you can have different brands of sugar. That's a whole nother ball of wax. So it just depends on what you want to try. I say do kombucha first, mess with that SCOBY, split them, give them to friends, have fun with it, do different things with it, put cola with it, do this, make it fizzy, make it all this stuff, and keep going. Because once you learn to drink it, once you learn to have in your system, people get hooked. I started, I think, 10 people on this, and they have thanked me every day. The benefits I cannot name. There's so many, I can't name them. Kombucha is an art, it is creative, it is scientific, and it is excellent for your health. If you're not drinking it, you're insane. I never knew these things existed. Fermentation, kefir water is considered a fermentation. It's fermenting, isn't it? The kefir is alive, isn't it? The SCOBY is alive. The kombucha tea is alive to a certain extent. But if you add something to the kombucha tea, it's not going to kill the SCOBY unless the SCOBY's in it. So when the SCOBY is in the jar with the green tea, it all has to be at room temperature. When you're making a SCOBY, every liquid together has to be at room temperature because it doesn't like hot with cold. It doesn't like light when it's making, and the SCOBY begins to grow. And when the SCOBY's done growing, it made a tea. So we separate the SCOBY from the tea, we set it on the counter, we make a whole nother thing. That's awesome because then you have grape and cranberry and I can just go on ginger and anything that ails you, add it to the kombucha the second time. Then I put the SCOBY, start another batch. So I always know when it's done and when it's making and when I'm going to make another one. I know people that have 5-gallon things on their shelf and their kids drink it all day long in the raw form. I see people precisionally put sugar in there. I just drop, I don't know, if I'm doing a gallon, I drop 2 cups of sugar. That doesn't matter because my SCOBYs are epic. Like they have a lot of yeast in them, so they make a lot of good kombucha. When you're making your first SCOBY, you want it to be precision. So we don't use metal. When you're cooking something, we use metal, right? When we're making fermented things, we never want to use metal. We always want to use plastic. So, say you're mixing the sugar and the tea, use a spatula. Clean it in hot water. Don't use soap. Use a paper towel. Keep the paper towel on the counter. Clean that pan real good. Stir it all up till the sugar melts. Drop your tea bags in there, throw a lid on it, let it steep all night. Take the bags out in the morning, drop it in the jar. Get your raw kombucha that's at room temperature. Slap it in there. Throw your cheesecloth on top, put your rubber band, stick it in the dark, and go check on it in about 7 days. I guarantee you're going to go peak. There's something going on in there. You notice I have a coffee filter on the kefir? Different than kombucha. It needs a tighter seal. Cheesecloth kind of, I would use a double cheesecloth or a handkerchief. I like handkerchiefs. Or like cut an old cotton t-shirt up, like this one. Put it on top. Don't overthink it, don't spend too much money, and drink it as much as you want. This is how much weight I lost on kombucha. Here's my body. Here's my shirt. That's what kombucha does for you. So it's a long video. It gives you an explanation in simplistic terms. If I skipped a part, it's because I'm an idiot. Otherwise, this is step 1 of what is a SCOBY. I can give you the scientific name of it and drive you crazy. I can tell you that kombucha tea is different than a SCOBY. A SCOBY is the actual organism. It produces something when it's mixed with something to give you something else. The kefir crystals are an organism. They multiply and grow, and they are something. They don't look as creepy as a SCOBY though. They have different purposes. But mixed together, they're a force to be reckoned with. They're both probiotic. Think about it. Bad bacteria and good bacteria. My dogs act like they're on kombucha. Kombucha is one of the greatest drinks I've ever had. At first you'll drink it and go, that's a little bit different. But as you get used to drinking it, you just don't even think about it. You get your favorites. So when we're making kombucha and kefir, we use spatulas. If you use a metal pan, make sure it's clean. Don't be dumping a bunch of Dawn soap in there. Just clean it out real good. Wipe it down real good. Put your water in there. Now, kefir water is a little bit different. Kefir water is a little bit different. When we're talking about kombucha, though, put some water in there, boil it on stove, dump your sugar in there, drop your tea bags in there. I'd use 18 for the first round, just so you can see how great it can be. Unless you're going to use a real smart mason jar, which I wouldn't do that either. Room temperature raw kombucha bottle that you bought at the organic store. Put it in the jar. Put your tea that you've been brewing all night long. Take the bags out. Don't put the bags in that thing and what you're doing. No, no. Because once that kombucha that's already been made gets in that green tea, it is forming that SCOBY. Once you make that SCOBY, you have a gift for life. Give them to all your friends. Tell them how to do it and how to do it, what to do it, what to drink it and everything else. And don't you ever put metal there in the SCOBY and the kefir. And don't ever go in there with dirty hands. Keep it clean. Keep it straight. Put it in a dark bag. Put your rubber band over there. Keep it in a warm spot. Don't be throwing it out in the freezing cold snow. It ain't going to grow. It's like those old chia pets. Remember when you put a seed in a cup, in a styrofoam cup, and you watched it grow? Same thing with kombucha. Same thing with kefir. It likes to be kind of in a warm spot. Grows better in the warm. I used to crank out kombucha in the summertime like it was nobody's business. It was a swirling and a twirling up in there. Kombucha is the elixir of life. And they're not kidding. I'm going to upload this for my friends. I look like a hot mess because I've been in the garden all day and making videos. And here goes. What is a SCOBY? It is a symbiotic culture of bacteria. It is the device in which that is a living organism that is like a human being that creates tea that you need to drink and has to be treated like a human being. It loves the warmth, it loves the dark light, and it doesn't like bacteria. It's a probiotic. You put bacteria, antibacteria, guess what's going to get killed? Your SCOBY. Don't put no metal in there. They don't like no metal. The metal pot that you got to boil the water in is metal, but it's clean. Use paper towel. Put the lid on it or put a plate over the top. Keep it simple, keep it fresh. All those bottles that you buy, save them because you're going to need them. Don't ever throw away a glass bottle for the rest of your life. Save them all. You buy a juice, save it. When your kombucha's done, let me know. That's it. That's what a SCOBY is.